Hey all, welcome back to Automate Live. We are here day 3 at Huntington Place in Detroit. I'm your host, Wyatt, for this session. I'm joined with Andre Marino from Schneider Electric today. Andre, how are you?
I'm doing super well. Thanks for having me.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. Andre, I just wanted to take a moment because Schneider Electric has a huge booth here at Automate show this year, and it's really cool. There's 2 layers to it. It's wild. So I know that you all are investing big into digital transformation and innovation during this show here. But for those that are maybe watching live with us today, could you tell them a little bit more about yourself and your role at Schneider Electric?
Sure. Well, first of all, thanks for having us here at the show at Automate. We are super excited to be here. I lead the industrial automation business for North America. I'm SVP for our business, industrial automation. And we are, excited to participate on this moment of the U.S. and industrial renaissance. And I'm proud to be able to participate on that story together with Schneider.
That's awesome. That's amazing. And there's a lot of innovation that Schneider is bringing to the table this year with some of their product releases and launches. I know that your president of North America had a big keynote this morning. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about the theme of that?
Yeah, sure. It was a very exciting session for sure. And it was about how we define the future of automation and our responsibility as a technology provider, but also together with partners and customers to drive this forward. And it was all about the open and software-defined automation, right? We believe that will allow us to do a step change in productivity, in sustainability, and move this agenda forward of the industrial renaissance. We can't continue to do what we have been doing before for 20 years, the past 20 years, and think that will lead us to the increasing productivity that we need to sustain that future for the U.S.
That's amazing. And that's so important, right? We talk about this industry a lot, just general stagnation, and we're kind of slow to adopt. And there's very good reasons for that. It's not like there aren't, but it's exciting when we do get a chance for that innovation to really shine through. And we're seeing like the progress and the fruits of our labor, right? Mm-hmm. Well, with Schneider Electric's digital capabilities and innovations, how are they helping manufacturers be more agile in today's more digital world?
Yeah, you mentioned a topic that is super important for us because we all talk about technology, but you mentioned the topic of labor, correct?
You're right.
I don't know if the colleagues watching us know that, but just today we have 500,000 jobs, open jobs in manufacturing. And there's, right? So, and there's like by 2035, which was something Amr was alluding to, we are talking about 2.5 million, 3 million jobs opening. So at the same time, we want to advance the agenda of reindustrialization of the U.S. So how you reconcile the speed and the need for more labor with the fact that we are just opening jobs more and more and we cannot find people.
That's right.
Right? But the secret here is how you can attract younger talents to the manufacturing, showing them that we have nice technology. And, my kids, they are now using artificial intelligence in their day-to-day. They expect to come to a factory that they don't need to do repetitive tasks anymore. They are not excited by that. They are excited by using technology to be more productive, right? So it's about using technology to be more agile, to attract more people, and just do a step change in productivity that we need here.
Yeah, and Andre, I don't know if you know this about me, but I have a podcast called Workforce 4.0.
I didn't know that.
It's a huge topic of conversation for us. Mm-hmm. And by the way, folks, if you're listening in, a very new statistic that just came out on the labor market that you brought up, a very good point, is we're now projecting 2035. So we have moved from 2030 to 2035. I believe Deloitte just dropped a study on that here in the first quarter of this year.
Yeah.
And those projections for job openings have increased up to 3 million. So thank you for bringing that up because no one has picked up on that yet.
Yeah, it's a super important topic because people are afraid of using technology and saying that it will replace jobs. And I say, wait a moment. It will not replace jobs. It will make just easier for us if we can use technology to take people out of the repetitive tasks.
Absolutely.
Having an open and software-defined automation that allows us to do that because we are not anymore, making compromises on how we can achieve it, right? And if anything, we can attract better jobs to manufacturing.
That's right. I
So
believe
we
in
are a big fan, and that's how we use technology in the day-to-day, is actually to solve that equation.
Absolutely. And, I have an 8-year-old. He's very much on par with that. He is already using the AI, using the technology. It's an expectation. So I love that point that you brought up. Can you kind of describe a little bit more about how those innovative technologies like AI and robotics and software-defined automation, how are they changing the manufacturing landscape?
Yeah, I will pause here for a moment, right? First, just, connect with the software defined and why we believe that's so important. You have your computer at home.
Right.
You don't care much the hardware that is inside. The price that you used to pay for a computer 10 years ago, today is much cheaper, right? And that's because the software actually defines what you do in your computer. You can't imagine anymore. You just like, I have an operating system. That's the same for your smartphone, right? You pay what you pay because the value you get out of the software that's in there.
That's
now,
right.
imagine industrial sector, it's been years. We don't see the same, the cost going down in the hardware and getting more and more software, defined and outcomes out of that. And that's the first element. Right? By doing that, you kind of decouple hardware from software and you unlock a lot of new outcomes and productivity out of that. It's almost like you make no compromise in what you choose. You can choose whatever hardware you want, whatever software you want, and build the best solution out of it. And for years, the end users, they were locked because they would choose a vendor that would say, I have the only thing that you need. But that's actually not true. Correct? So that's the first layer. That will allow you also to use AI and other things, because in order to use AI and new technology, you need data.
Yes.
Right?
Exactly.
So if you can't connect things, if things are not open, how are you sure that you get all the data that you need to run your AI models in the future? You can't.
Wait, no.
And it's super difficult, right? Because you have a set of data that's not having the context that you need to take decisions, and then you have another set of data that you cannot connect one with the other, and there's no harmonization of data, so there's no AI on top of it. So there's a fundamental link here between open, the connection with the physical assets, with the software, that we believe that's the future, and that's why our solutions with EcoStruxure Automation Expert is so important for our customers, because they are seeing that's a way to unlock the value and then run the newer technologies like AI and other modules that everybody's talking about, which I invite all of you that are in the show to see the first industrial copilot that we created with Microsoft, that you can literally program your PLCs. If you were process engineering, just saying, hey, create a pumping station for me, it will generate the code in the PLC, it will create the test procedures, and you're just like saving 2 months of work.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah, and Copilot is such a powerful tool anyway. But you make such a great point about the software piece of the technology, because you're already seeing that right in consumer goods. I mean, you mentioned the phone. That's kind of the basis of the whole Tesla business, right? Elon Musk Tesla, is that you buy the car and then the software continues to update over time.
Yep.
And so we're already seeing this big push in the consumer market for that. So it only makes sense to really adopt that same type of strategy to your manufacturing company and our bigger business industries, right?
Yeah. I mean, the fact is the fact. The industry has been evolving, other than manufacturing for years towards just software, right? And now the challenge that we have to get way more productive and be more sustainable, deal with the workforce, you can't solve like we were doing in the past. It has to be software defined so we can connect all these dots and really make a step change. So that's why we are saying that. And by the way, this is not a Schneider story anymore. There's a universal automation group with many end users, many of our competitors that are here in the show as well, right? Partners, universities, they all share the same idea. And that's, somehow we are super excited. Listen, we invented the PLC 57 years ago, Modcom. Correct? We operate in this country 135 years. We invented the first safe switch in the energy management. And now we are reinventing automation, we think, driving the software-defined architectures.
That's amazing. Yeah, and I mean that brings a lot of arguments about like or a good use case, not necessarily an argument, but for training initiatives as well. It's going to make it a lot more accessible for the workforce development aspect of it too.
Yeah.
As companies are looking to modernize through digital transformation, what advice do you have for them when they're going forward on this digital transformation journey?
Yeah, and you know that 70% of the companies worldwide, they stuck in the pilot purgatory.
Yep.
Right?
Yes.
Which
Yes.
which is kind of
I love
astonishing.
that you call it that.
Correct? And because there's a lot of technology out there, right? There's a lot of anxiety, and sometimes they get overwhelmed because what I start from.
Right.
And if you're not strategizing first and understanding what's the problem you're solving for, the chances that you are going to get stuck in the pilot purgatory are super big.
Yep.
So our first advice, and listen, we have 200 manufacturing sites around the globe, 22 in North America. So we say, because we are a French company, we drink our own champagne. Right? So first we say, what is the problem we are trying to solve for? And then we start to digitize after, which means we add sensors, we create a data layer, and then we start to automate and optimize. Correct? If you're doing the other way around, you're just throwing out a bunch of sensors and doing automation just for the sake of doing it.
Right.
Then you can't replicate anything.
That's right.
Right?
That's
or
right.
The other way that we see, companies unfortunately suffering is because they say, let's get the most complex problem and let's try to solve that first. And they do it, but it takes long. And guess what? Sometimes the very complex problem is not elsewhere in any other plant. It's just for that particular plant, that particular problem. So you cannot compound gains. So we say first, think about the problem that if you have 20 factories, you can replicate to 20 factories because you have the same problem across 20 factories. Make sure that you digitize, automate, and compound these gains after. And then you go on and on and on. And we've been doing this. Hey, we have a factory in Lexington here that's a 50-plus-year-old factory, right? We modernized this factory to be a lighthouse, recognized by the World Economic Forum. So that conversation is not just about get a new green field, use the best of technology,
right,
but it's also about modernizing the current assets. So it is possible, right? And actually, if we don't do it, it will be a problem because you just can, create plants after plant because the cost is prohibitive. You first need to extract the value of your own assets. So we are a big fan of thinking, strategizing, trying to understand the problem you're solving for, digitize, automate, optimize, replicate. Mm-hmm. Go back, apply the same concept. And then we see companies doing this and then applying for sure AI, having a data, standards and etc. They will succeed and they will not get stuck in the pilot purgatory.
Yeah, I love that. Well, I've worked with a lot of greenfield sites in the past, and I think that last thing that you're saying is key. If you're developing a process, document the process and then replicate the process. Mm-hmm. And I think that's really where a lot of companies may be struggling mm-hmm. because they invest all this CapEx money into like a huge new site, put all the tech in there, and then it just kind of stays in that plant. So I think that's excellent advice, Andre. I appreciate that.
Yep.
And as we're wrapping up here today, this morning, for those that are interested in learning more about Schneider Electric, your initiatives and your digital transformation solutions, mm-hmm. what's a good point of contact for you?
Well, for sure, we have a lot in our site in the sc.com. Also, we are here at the show, so if you are at the show, come and visit us at the booth. And we would love to continue to the conversation through our social media. So we have pretty much Schneider Electric in all the states in the U.S. We have partners, distributors that are all looking forward to connect with our customers and new partners and drive this agenda forward.
Excellent. Well, Andre, I really appreciate it. For those listening this morning, we appreciate you all. Please leave your comments in and your questions in the chat. We will be with you shortly with more Automate Live interviews.